Ohio Attorney General School Safety Task Force recommendations and model safety plan for Ohio schools. Well, let me just first thank the School Safety Task Force. This is about 50 individuals. Some of them are here who have spent a lot of time working on this. So I just appreciate what they have done very, very much. The Ohio Department of Education, the Buckeye Association of School Administrators, the Ohio Association of School Business Officials, the Ohio School Resource Officers Association partnered with the Attorney General's office in putting this group together. As you look around the room, we have people who were from fire, police, teachers, administrators, mental health community, emergency management, and on. And I think what's significant is that this is a very diverse group geographically, but also a diverse group as far as his background. And what we know, if we know anything, is that in regard to school safety, it has to be a holistic approach. And we have to involve many, many, many groups. This is not just where the school wakes up one day and says, we're going to put a school safety plan together, and here's how we're going to execute it. They have a lot of partners, and it's really a community project. I'm going to walk through some of the things that we're releasing today, but these are recommendations, these are best practices, but we fully understand that each community has to make its own decisions about how to implement. Because that's what it comes down to, is that really that cooperation at the local level. There's no substitute for the mental health community, the police department, the fire, being integrated with that school and with the administrators and with the teachers. I want to talk for a moment about how we got here and what the need was, what the problem was, why we put the task force together. After the Chardon tragedy, we found that over 1/2 of the schools in the state were not in compliance with Ohio law as far as the school safety plan. Over 1/2. At that time, there were 2,500 schools not in compliance. At that time, 725 had never filed any plan at all. 1,813 were out of date as far as their plan. The law requires schools to file a plan updated every 3 years. So that was one problem and one challenge. There was also an inconsistency in the plans. We had a lot of schools who had filed a floor plan but did not file an operation plan. Some schools had filed an operation plan but did not file a floor plan. There was a real inconsistency in the quality of the plans. And I don't think that's the school's fault, or anyone's fault necessarily. That's the way it was, because no one had ever put the best practices together. No one had ever given a template for the schools to use. No group had ever been called together as we have done to try to come up with the best ideas for local schools. So every school was kind of on its own in how to put this together. Very frankly, very, very little guidance and training. Another problem that we found was a lack of communication. And again, this was not true in every school or every case, but there was a lack of communication between the schools, between law enforcement, between the mental health community, between the fire department, other first responders in the community. So there was not that conversation in some cases that was going on. Next, we found that the plans themselves many times were not useful for law enforcement. While they may have had all the information in there, it was not readily available. And what law enforcement told us and what the people in the working group said is we have to have something that we can pull up quickly. We know exactly where it is. If we've got a huge document that big and we have to sort through there, it's not useful for us in the case of an emergency when we have to respond very, very quickly.